Okay, this will be a good one. And Blizzard finally admits that they got Mythic Plus wrong by Bellular. So let's go ahead and check it out.
Bellular. If you've seen the news, like the headlines and the thumbnails, you probably would think this is only a Mythic Plus thing. Now, this is amazing for Mythic Plus, and it answers things that those players have really wanted for ages, but all of us are going to have faster progression, more flexibility, and less punishment, which is quite a nice thing. And all because Blizzard are changing how crests work in general, and then in Mythic Plus especially. And this is not some sort of mid-season gift. That would be the worrying thing. No, Blizzard say that these changes are active in patch 1107, but they are going to be the starting point for Season 2. So let's get stuck in. The first change impacts everybody and it's humongous. The cost of trade-up bags has been cut in half from 90 to 45. Now that's the system where if you no longer can use a type of crest, you can turn a whole bunch of that crest into a smaller number of crests from a tier above. And halving that cost has got an absolutely flippin' massive impact here. More than you'd first think. So say you want a whole bunch of runed crests. Well, in the old system, you would trade 540 weathered crests into 90 carved crests, and those 90 would turn into 15 runed crests. But in the new system, 135 weathered crests turns into 45 carved, and 45 carved turns into 15 runed. So to get the same 15 runed crests, you're looking at 135 weathered crests versus 540. And the implications are massive here. As an example, doing anything in the game, especially Siren Isle stuff, gets you so many weathered and carved crests, you'll be able to trade up so many more of those into better crests that can actually upgrade your character. So that really is good, and for so many of us, it means that doing world content on a character that's decently geared won't feel like a complete, total waste of time. But
that's okay, but it's not that big of a change. Like, it needs a massive change to the loot system. That's good, but it's nowhere even close to enough.
Not at all. As an example, I am not a Mythic Pluser. I'm a Raider. And for me, this is also a little bit of a game changer because obviously, gilded crests matter. Here's an extended version of that chart with gilded crests, and you can really see the compounding is powerful here. Yeah, nobody's going to be turning weathered crests into gildeds, but just look at this. 3,240 weathered crests could be traded into 15 gilded with the old costs. Now, it's only 405.
So let's just assume you get, what's it, like 12 crest end of dungeon run. So let's just say this will take 1, 2, 3 Mythic Plus dungeons, 4 Mythic Plus dungeons at the runed level to get 15 gilded crests. So that's still pretty bad because that's just one level of upgrade. Now, I know that is the Mythic level. It's Mythic track gear. Shouldn't be that, time consuming, but we're still putting 4 plus out. That's not counting failed keys. Rune crests are hard to get because it's a pretty high Mythic Plus level. So we're putting, essentially, let's just say 4 dungeons. If you count LFG, the time it takes to form the group to get to the dungeon, the failed keys, you're talking like 6, 7, 8 hours here to get 1 track upgrade on your Mythic gear to take it from a 3 to a 4. So,
that is an over 90% cost reduction. Of course, obviously, to unlock the ability to trade, you do have to have your character's gear at a certain level. But it does actually mean that between Siren Isle, the Odd Delve, and Heroic Raid, I'll actually have plenty of weathered, carved, and runed crests, and that means I'll be able to trade up to gilded crests so that my character, which is all 4 out of 6 hero gear, will actually be able to get gilded gear.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Crazy. With the old cost, progression was so slow that it was completely not worth doing, but that is just not the case here. You can make way more tangible progress on your character, even more so because of the changes made to crafted gear. So the best crafted gear in the game is, of course, made with a spark plus either a nascent weathered, runed, or gilded Harbinger crest. Weathered and runed nascent crests still cost 30 and 45, but the big news is that nascent gilded crests now only cost 60, down from 90. And that's on top of the gilded crests being drastically more plentiful in patch 1107 because of these trading changes. Earning 45 of them will be so much easier, and that's even if you don't touch Mythic Plus. But if you do touch Mythic Plus, wow, everything is massively different, and funnily enough, on numbers going up, well, here's today's sponsor, another RPG. You're an absolute favorite of mine and big support.
Real quick. So far, the only changes I've seen is if you're running lower content and then trading up to higher crests. I don't see any changes to like how many crests you're getting for like current content that you're doing. So let's say you're running a 5 or 6 key into dungeon, you're not getting more crests. It's just like the currency transfer system that's being changed so far. So
Supporter of the channel,
not too
boot.dev.
great.
So here's the deal with them, right? They'll all programming skills. Boot just do it better than anybody else, and you can check them out today at boot.dev/bellular. There, you'll get 25% off your first purchase. I go annual for the biggest saving, and if it's not for you, they have a 30-day, no questions asked refund period, and you can it's punishing to the point where this late all that stuff for free. The Mythic changes are, in a word, fantastic. Mythic dungeon gearing is slow and it's punishing to the point where this late in the season, people just could not be bothered doing their ults. Until this patch drops, that is. Blizzard are greatly increasing the crest rewards from all forms of dungeon content, including whenever you deplete a key, and especially with gilded crests.
Okay, let's look at this. Dropped, timer beaten. So a 2, you get 12. Dropped, timer expired, 8. Okay, so is there like a before and after? So 16 gilded. Okay, so that's how it goes. 12, 14, and okay, so it goes 10, 12, 14, then 12, 14, 16, 18, then 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Okay, so you get into higher keys here. Makes it worth it to do 11s and 12s. You get more gilded crests. That's really nice. Okay.
Here's a full table of the new costs, and quite a few things will stand out. First up, depleted keys are actually rewarding now. You'll be getting between 8 and 16 crests based on your keystone level, versus the old one, which is just a flat 5 crests, which just felt like a massive kick when you were down.
So pretty much double.
Humongous. If you want to change people's behavior, you need to change the incentives. And when winning earned 12, but losing only earned 5, people could rationalize just quitting the dungeon and trying to find another key. Here, though, well, yeah, if you deplete your key, that kind of blows, but you only get 4 fewer crests than if you timed the key. And that completely reframes the reward psychology here. It means that depleting is not a total victory, but it gets you meaningful progress and is rewarding, rather than feeling like a complete waste of time, as it did previously. The next takeaway, then, is how the rewards change with level. So within each crest range, we can see that the rewards for timing and depleting increase. As an example, timing a +8 gets you 12.
This looks nice on paper, but I don't think that this is that big of a deal. I mean, it's pretty good for the crest system, sure. I think the main problem, though, with Mythic Plus is the end of dungeon loot. Spending an hour in a dungeon, not getting any loot at the end, only getting 2 baseline items, feels terrible. I feel that if I'm spending an hour in a dungeon, I should get, I know you get crest, sure, that's okay, whatever, but I feel like the loot system needs to go back to the items and maybe get away from all this focused into the crest system. I think it would make the game a lot more alt-friendly, which I'm very pro-alt-friendly.
Depleting a +9 gets you 10. That's barely any of a difference, but timing that +9 earns you 14. And that means that you are incentivized to do harder and harder content, but should you end up failing, you're not being punished ridiculously. And that's much better than the old system where you just targeted the easiest keystone level for a given type of crest and you would farm it up. This is so much better, and it's especially better with gilded crests. That's because timing a +12 will get you 20 crests. That's way more than the 12 that you get right now, and depleting, of course, will earn you 16. Yeah, you deplete a key and you get 16 crests, which is more crests than you get for timing the key right now. That is just wild and so much better. I mean, depleting a key, that's over 3 times as many crests on a +12 as previous. So this is a game changer. Now, we do know that the Gold and Valor Stone rewards are also going to be increasing with level, but Blizzard have sadly not shared any numbers there. It'd be really nice.
Currency rewards for Mythic Plus dungeons, Crest, Gold, Valor Stones now scale by keystone level. Okay, so we looked at the Crest. Valor Stones, this is really nice because I don't do any world content. I only do Mythic Plus, and I'm lacking more for Valor Stones than for Crest. So getting more Valor Stones will be very, very nice. That has been the main thing that's been stopping my characters from using the upgrade track system, whatever you call it.
But that's actually not all for this. Blizzard have also decreased the item level requirement for a pretty damn big achievement called Harbinger of the Gilded. That is the feat of strength for getting everything to 639, just that when the patch drops, it'll be 636. That looks small, but it's actually quite huge. Crafted gear caps out at item level 636. And that meant with the old achievement, people would have crafted gear that would be base, embellishments and all of that, but they'd then need to find myth track gear and upgrade it just to tick off this achievement so that they could earn their warband-wide discount on gilded crest upgrades. It was very, very, very silly indeed. So now you don't have to jump through stupid hoops just to get that achievement, and the account-wide discount is going to play very, very nice with the increased acquisition rates, especially for Mythic Plus. But do you know what really matters? The future of the game and why Blizzard made this move. For me, the biggest takeaway is the team confirmed that these changes will be their starting point for Season 2 of The War Within, and that truly is gigantic. What I think a lot of us expected was some sort of mid-season sugar rush, right? Just give people a whole bunch of reward, jack up the numbers. No, that's not happening, and it's evident that they're actually thinking this through, and they've explained it on two different levels. Level 1 is the overarching system, level 2 is the alignment of incentives within any given dungeon group. So,
okay, ideally, challenge rewards should be directly correlated. Until now, players whose primary goal is optimizing crest income were incentivized to run the lowest difficulty that awarded their desired crest type. See, okay, that's nice. So this is going to incentivize you to push higher. So people who are trying to farm out their crest and they're at the 10 key level are not going to be running 7s. I do like this. I wonder if it'll be enough, though, because the fail rate and the amount of time it takes to do a 10 is probably twice as long as it is a 7. So I think so. Probably for Vault, right? I think it'd still be worth it. So yeah, okay.
Previously, if you wanted crests, you were incentivized to do the lowest key that dropped those crests, because those would be easier and you could clear them faster. Now, that's bad in itself, but it actually created a second order effect that was really dangerous. People who could do a plus 12 would rather just chain run plus 8s really quickly. They would get way more gilded crests, and with the crafted gear costing 90 of the damn things, well, they kind of needed those time savings. And that was systemically disastrous for how Mythic Plus worked, because the people who were progressing, for whom a plus 8 was properly hard and actually is progress, they're not going to get accepted because, well, the people with those keys have got a whole stream of very geared players who just want to farm gilded crests and really should be doing harder content. And that basically meant a subgroup of players were just stuck hitting a wall, which blew. The other thing then is incentives within a group. I mean, depleting a key hurt the owner.
While it is important for all members of a Mythic Plus group to have a shared interest in finishing a dungeon, then the timer dropping from a reward of 12 crests down to 5 when the timer was missed felt very punitive. Currently in patch 11.05, for example, a group who fails to beat the timer in a 7 will receive more crests than a group who crushes their timer in a 4. So, okay, that's great. Again, it incentivizes us to push key levels. Really good.
Of the key
does kind of
most,
punish
and
the lower end of
consolation price of 5 crests was so little that it wasn't really worth anything to anybody else, so many people would just quit at the first sign of trouble. The incentives were misaligned, but now with, in cases, 2 to 3 times better rewards for depleting a key, well, it's actually worth seeing the run through for everybody. That's massive. And big picture here, Blizzard say that they want to basically help people move to harder content and also get their alts up to speed faster. Now,
who are attempting to push into upper echelons of content, as well as those who have alts who are looking to match the progress of their mains. Okay, so, I mean, they're looking at alts. What I've been asking for this entire season is make alt progression faster.
This is not a
so they're listening.
It doesn't fix absolutely everything, but
no,
it is a foundational change. Now, there are so many criticisms of dungeon design, mechanical density, class utility, and all of those things. Those are details that really do matter. But here's the thing. Often you can talk about tweaking the variables, the details, but there can be foundational things that are just, in a way, a lot more important, where you should really fix the foundations first, and then you should tweak the other things. So with this done, I think whenever Blizzard do go and they act on all of that feedback for our next wave of Mythic Plus dungeons in Season 2, well, it'll be on a far better foundation, and that they're willing to basically implement this in 11.07 so that they actually get a bit of a test run with it. Well, that also bodes well, because it says they're actually trying to run experiments and learn. Certainly, the old Blizzard wouldn't really do this kind of thing. I'm glad the new Blizzard does, and it sets 11.1's season up to be substantially better for all players, and at least for me,
looks like
right?
This is over.
I mean, I'm
the only thing that wasn't mentioned that I don't like is the lower end of Mythic Plus keys. I think I said this in one of my previous videos. The lower end of Mythic Plus keys is too hard. I join groups all the time. I'm a healer. In between the 2 and like 5 range, you just have no clue what they're doing. You literally cannot complete the dungeon because people do not know the mechanic. It's too punishing. There's no good entry level into Mythic Plus. You go straight from heroic to like Mythic 0. Really, you go, yeah, to Mythic 0, but Mythic 0 is still pretty hard. You know, Mythic Plus 2, 3, 4 is pretty hard because you have all those boss mechanics in there. There needs to be something that introduces newer players to Mythic Plus to where a 4 key does not feel harder than a 10 key, especially from a healer's perspective. So, okay, that's it for this one.